How's it going, everybody? Trump taking down the ex-president of Venezuela. We live in this new crazy time. You know, I think Trump should just declare Earth the United States of America, the entire world, just take over. I think this puts everybody on notice. They better not mess with Trump. The man is just taking everybody down. We're living in some crazy time. By the way, my name is Noel. Let's take a look what Bill Barr got to say about this, because everybody has an opinion on it. What Trump is doing is epic.
So now 10:31 here in New York. Breaking news yet again, with the ousted Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro will be up before a judge in about 90 minutes now for his arraignment along with his wife here in New York City. They are facing charges of drug trafficking. He faces 4 charges, she faces 3. Former AG, the Attorney General Bill Barr, is with me. And good to have you on. Good morning to you. You were there 5 years ago writing the original indictment. What is at the forefront of your mind? Where should we put our attention as we watch this today, sir?
Well, this is a superseding indictment that adds some detail. It drops some people. It adds some people. It's interesting. It's a very strong case. It has a lot of detail, and the basic allegations are the same as we originally charged in 2020. This was a criminal organization that used the instrumentalities, facilities of the state to make Venezuela a hub of drug trafficking. They were engaged in their own trafficking directly, cocaine up into the United States, both on ships, boats, and aircraft. And they also worked very closely, conspired with, and worked hand in hand with 5 different terrorist and drug trafficking organizations. FARC and ELN in Colombia, Tre de Agua in Venezuela, which was essentially a henchman for the Maduro and his group, and 2 Mexican cartels, Zetas and Sinaloa. So it's a very strong indictment. One of the interesting things is one of the people we originally charged, a fellow named El Polo, who's a critical player, had broken with Maduro, was in Spain. He was eventually captured after we indicted him in 2020, and he has now pled guilty just in June. So there's a lot of detail in the indictment that may come from El Polo, who could prove to be a key witness.
You were also
another key point.
Yeah, go ahead. Another key point is what?
Or just another key point is in 2020, we indicted the general in charge, Padrino. That was in a separate indictment in D.C. I haven't heard anything more about that. There's nothing new about him in the current indictment, which I think is interesting. And then they added his wife and his son and the head of Tren de Aragua. So that's essentially what this case is about. It's a very strong case, a lot of detail.
Okay, so I heard you say on Fox News Sunday yesterday, and given your long history, you were around with Noriega out of Panama in 1989.
Right.
You believe this case is stronger against Maduro than it was against Noriega. Why?
It's a more complicated case, a lot more to it in terms of the direct drug activities, but it's much stronger and a broader case because of the pervasive involvement of this group, this large group, in directly trafficking and facilitating. They were providing government equipment and so forth to different other cartels and so forth. So it's a very strong case. Now, trying Noriega, just getting to trial took 21 months. And then the trial itself, which was under a terrific judge, one of the greatest district court judges in the United States, a fellow named Hoovler, who kept the thing moving, that trial took 7 months. So this is a long process. People can strap in, but at the end of the day, there'll be a lot of legal maneuvering. The judge is important as to whether he can keep this thing moving along on a good timetable. But I think he will end up being convicted.
Okay, let me go ahead and give you a couple things here. Democrats are going after the legality of this. Here is Democrat Jim Himes. Let's do that first from CBS on Sunday.
clearly illegal under international law, right? No, full stop, UN Charter, no question there. Clearly not.
I hate it when they talk like that, clearly. Like we're doing something wrong. Why don't you mention what law we're breaking?
Legal under the Constitution, because though presidents of both parties have argued against this, the Constitution is really pretty clear that the representatives of the people get to be consulted and ultimately approve military activity. That has not happened here at all. And so, again, there's nothing legal about this.
I want you to answer that. Go ahead and address the legality of that. Then I'll ask you a very specific
first,
question about the comparisons between Noriega and Maduro. Go ahead.
Well, first, on the Constitution, he's just wrong. It does not require it for military activity. It requires it for going to war. And we haven't gone to war here. And otherwise, over our entire history, presidents have had a lot of latitude deploying military forces and using force in a targeted way to deal with threats to the United States and to enforce our laws. And this is justified both as a law enforcement measure and as a national security measure. As the international law, it is not a violation of the international law.
There you go.
First, we have never agreed that under the UN Charter, the only time you can use force is when you're actually under attack, armed attack by somebody else. We've never agreed to that. And that's not the only reason for defending yourself. We've always taken the position we can use force to defend our vital national interests, the safety of the American people. So he's simply wrong on that. Furthermore, under international law, we clearly are the victim here. They have been violating international law by using their sovereign territory and their de facto control to conduct hostile activities that are slaughtering Americans. What are we supposed to do? Just sit here and let a narco state act like that? You can't use law enforcement to prosecute them over there and get their cooperation because they are the problem. And so it's like in Panama, this is an appropriate situation where we can enforce our laws by going in and arresting the perpetrators. And this
so let me squeeze that in here. Here's the comparison between Maduro and Noriega. And you tell us what we're missing, if there's a distinction or a difference now. Not recognized by the U.S. as legitimate leaders of the country at the time of apprehension. Both taken into custody January 3rd, ironically. Both indicted on federal drug trafficking charges. Both captured by military operation, no declaration of war or congressional authorization. Like Noriega of 1989, Maduro likely to invoke immunity defense. Like Noriega, likely to fail. The manner in which the defendant brought to the U.S. does not defeat the jurisdiction. So he was tried, imprisoned in the U.S., Noriega was, imprisoned in Europe, went to Panama where he died behind bars. What did we get wrong there?
Yeah, that's all right. There is a doctrine, by the way, called the Kerr-Frisbee doctrine. We briefed this, argued it at the time of the Noriega case, and the Supreme Court has been clear. It doesn't matter how he got here. Once he's in front of the court and he's been charged, he stands trial and can be convicted. So, all these arguments don't really affect his ultimate responsibility and the government's ability to bring this to trial and get a conviction.
Thanks for coming back. Appreciate your time. We'll work through it. Kerry Urban, who used to work with you, informed us earlier today that your favorite show is Narcos. Fittingly. Thank you, sir. We'll talk soon. Bill Barr.
Thanks. Right. Yep.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on.
I guess they have a lot to argue. That makes total sense, And they're going to bring it to court and to argue. But not only do they have to argue in front of the courts, but in public opinion. Everybody got their own point of views. There's a bunch of people in Venezuela happy that this guy got captured and taken away. And then you got the socialists in New York complaining about it because they want to see socialism. But what do you think? Comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. My name is Noel, and I'm in Trump's side. I voted for Trump. I voted for this. The man is just taking down all the bad guys around the world. So that was Venezuela. I think next is going to be Cuba, then Colombia, and ultimately Greenland by the end of the year. The man got his hands full. taking everybody down. Insane. You know, there's a lot of people saying we didn't sign up for this. This is wrong. But let's be honest. These are a bunch of bad guys that, whew, somebody had to do something about it. Because, you know, you get a bunch of Democrats and Republicans too, just politicians in general, making promises to get elected and don't come through with their promises. And for the first time, we got somebody different. We have Trump, who made a bunch of promises and it's carrying through. Like, the man got the law on his side, you know? And just moving forward with the judges, with the law, saying, I got this. Let's go. And I can't wait to see the movie or how they went into Venezuela to capture the president. That's going to be an epic movie. If they make it, they got to let go of TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. They got to let go of that and just show how this man broke all odds. Again, it's an epic movie. All right, what about in Minnesota? Is he really going to take care of the Somalian situations? And it's not just Somalians, it's fraudsters, people robbing the taxpayers. Because we're the one that work hard, pay all the taxes, and we're getting robbed. So not just Somalians, anybody that robs America needs to go down. Especially if you're a taxpayer paying all this money. The last thing you want to see is somebody coming through and easily taking it. Because the way they're doing it with the daycare situation is like we're getting robbed by kindergarten kids. Like, what the hell? No sophistication, no smartness. These are not intellectuals. These are just people using racist politics. That doesn't make any sense. And now we got the Minnesota state governor resigning, saying bye.
There's worry about the election.
Oh, sorry, not sorry. The fact that that man could have been vice president is truly terrifying. Billions in fraud allowed under his watch, committed by his beloved constituency, fraudsters in the Somali community. Now, more on that embarrassment in a bit, but of course, he's not the only one whose we've had to say adieu to.
Good night. Good night. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I love that. Venezuelans are still celebrating all across the world tonight with their illegitimately elected autocrat gone. They now have a real shot at freedom at last. And for those crying that we're at war with Venezuela, President Trump told the NBC News outlet tonight that we're not. Instead, we're at war with the people that sell drugs. We're at war with the people that empty their prisons into our country and empty their drug addicts and empty their mental institutions into our country. We're not occupying Venezuela. Our military was in and out.
I voted for that. Trump is taking care of all the problems outside of America and problems that a lot of politicians said that we couldn't take care of. We couldn't deal with the drug problem. We couldn't deal with the bad and evil people around the world. Trump says, yes, we can. We got the best military on earth. Let's go. And it's just taking everybody down. Look how they're taking this man. And by the way, the Venezuelan ex-president, he's tall, man. That man is like 6'3".
Now, the Delta Force conducted a daring drop down in the wee hours of Saturday morning after weeks of practicing the raid in an exact replica of the Maduro compound. It's fascinating. They stormed into Nikki's inner sanctum, scooped him up and his wife, and lifted them out, and they went to the USS FAFO with none of our guys getting killed. Stunning.
Our warriors are the elite of America. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off.
Well, that's the truth. But was this operation really about the 5-year-old indictment against Maduro for drug trafficking? Well, what's my view? It's the great American clawback. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
That's crazy.
Now, for any of you who thought that President Trump had been too soft in countering the threats posed by Russia or even China, the move against Venezuela's strongman should put your doubts to rest. In fact, taking Maduro into custody, I argue, was quintessentially MAGA. Now, why? because Russia has been huddling with Venezuela for years. Maduro's worked with Putin to skirt oil sanctions and a lot more. And as for China, going back to the Hugo Chavez days, China needed oil for its economic expansion. Venezuela needed cash. So back in the early 2000s, the two countries struck a trade partnership that would yield more than $100 billion in financing promises from China in exchange for Venezuelan oil. The Chinese money financed railways and power plants, gave Caracas much-needed cash, wrote the New York Times. So what's next now for China's great trade deal with Venezuela? Well, guess what? Now we're in the driver's seat. A pro-China media outlet writing that the U.S. move calls into question China's future financial commitments in Latin America, potentially hurting Beijing's regional strategy. Oh, I love that. And how delish was it that Chinese officials were meeting with Maduro right before he was taken into custody? I love that. Now, the fact is, Trump's move was a needed global reset for the United States. It's a clawback of power squandered over decades by D.C.'s uniparty, which allowed our adversaries, most notably China, to get stronger economically and militarily, even in our own backyard. Now, it's going to be impossible for us, the United States, to keep America safe and strong if we do not first secure our own hemisphere from being infiltrated and ultimately dominated by hostile powers.
This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be used as a base of operation for our nation's adversaries and competitors and rivals.
Finally, somebody taking down the drug manufacturers or the drug game. They always say that the drug game is way too big, it's way too large for anybody to do anything except the government. And Trump is coming through and doing something about it.
Of the United States.
Now, of course, Democrats, apparently they're just happy to have Russia and China exerting influence in our hemisphere. Their reaction to the capture of Maduro was predictable.
There's no question that the mission itself, the execution by our military was flawless, and we should applaud that. But the more important questions to me right now are, should we have done this and what comes next?
He went on to talk about Iraq, and it's a facile, inapt comparison.
This isn't a country that's on the other side of the world. This isn't a country like where you have to travel 24 hours in an airplane. This is Venezuela. It's in our area.
There is no war against Venezuela or its people. We are not occupying a country. This was a law enforcement operation.
Then perhaps the dumbest question of the weekend came from Kristen Welker.
If the purpose of the operation was to capture Maduro and bring him to justice, why does the United States need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry?
We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. You have to understand, why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States.
Yeah.
Bingo. It's time we all started living in the real world. And by the way, it's not 1996 any longer. It's clear that if we allowed China and other bad actors to have an operating hub inside Venezuela, our own security would be jeopardized. And it's not just about the oil or the minerals. It's just also about the geography. Yeah, the drugs are a concern, but frankly, because Trump so effectively locked down our border, it's not the main concern. It's bad enough that we allowed Cuba to exist as a communist satellite state for what, 60 years?
I love how little by little Trump is expanding his reach or his hold. Like, close the borders, no more coming through the border, expanding out, taking down Venezuela, expanding out, you're going to take down Greenland. Everybody just behaving like they're supposed to. All right? Watch your step. Watch yourself. Don't mess against America.
Plus now, but Trump knows allowing this to happen in a country like Venezuela, that would be calamitous. As it is, China is refusing to leave Panama, which is terrible for regional stability. So this raid is a warning shot to China, which seemed to be taken off guard here. Of course, Donald Trump will never totally close the door to diplomacy. He gave Maduro every chance to surrender. And he's using diplomacy everywhere he can to solve conflicts and avoid conflicts. In fact, some of us bristle sometimes at Trump's overtures to China, my friend President Xi and all that. But Trump's playing chess here. To counter China's move for global dominance, we have to get stronger. So the clawback means we're rebuilding our military. Hegseth's working on that. We're securing our own hemisphere. That's Rubio, Venezuela. We're rebuilding our industrial policy with tariffs. That's Greer and Lutnick. And we're growing our economy. Scott Bessent, thank you. So the way we beat, remember, the USSR was by beating them economically, grew our military, but we were strong as an economic power. They just couldn't keep up. So in 10 or 20, even 30 years from now, we will not be free if China is calling the shots in our own hemisphere. So tonight, I'm telling you this, pull up a chair, watch this unfold. It's going to be a little risky, maybe at times bumpy, but Trump is the only rational path forward. That's what he's offering us. Other foes of America should be looking over their shoulders tonight. The great American clawback is underway.
People would have watched their mouth, how they talk about America and what they're going to do to America, and trying to make us worried. When we are the superpower, they should be worried about what we're going to do to them. After what just happened in Venezuela, everybody should be on high alert. We got the top military, and we're the only ones that I think that can make it happen.
And that's the angle. Here to discuss.
Big, beautiful fireworks are going off right now over the nation's capital as Trump kicks off the countdown to America's 250th birthday. Venezuela got the new year started off with a bang, courtesy of Uncle Sam.
Amor. Ay, no.
After the clock struck midnight Friday and the skies were clear, the commander-in-chief signed off on one of the most audacious military operations in American history. 150 aircraft from over 20 bases in the Western Hemisphere took off towards Venezuelan airspace. Venezuelan seaports, military bases, and air defense systems came under attack. Communication, radar, and air defense systems neutralized and jammed, thanks to U.S. Cyber Command and Space Force. An elite team of Delta Force commandos flew low to the ground in Night Stalkers into the capital of Caracas at 1 a.m., catching the narco state completely by surprise. As the choppers approached their target, they were hit with enemy gunfire, but responded with overwhelming force. Explosions rang out throughout the capital, while an elite army unit blowtorched the doors off the fortress, hiding the narco tyrant Nicolas Maduro, a fugitive from justice. The president watched the action live from a secure room at Mar-a-Lago. Delta Force took out Maduro's Cuban security team and zeroed in on the dictator's lair. Maduro and his wife scrambled out of bed in their pajamas and headed to their steel safe room, but they didn't make it. He was apprehended, and the operation ended in less than 15 minutes.
Crazy.
The dictator, handcuffed, blindfolded, and wearing a gray Nike sweatsuit, was sitting on the USS Iwo Jima on his way to American soil to face justice. And the next thing he knew, he was on a helicopter being flown directly over the Statue of Liberty. A little tour of the city right before he got booked and did his perp walk in Brooklyn.
Good night. Good night. Happy New Year.
Maduro and his wife are now being held in solitary confinement in one of the dingiest jails in America, where El Chapo, Diddy, Ghislaine Maxwell, and
6ix9ine.
R. Kelly did time. This morning, Maduro and his wife pled not guilty to charges of narco-terrorism conspiracy, conspiracy to import cocaine, and weapons charges. So why the wife? Turns out she's the brains behind the operation, so she's getting charged too. But Maduro had options. Trump gave peace a chance. The dictator was offered an off-ramp to retire in the lap of luxury in Turkey. And now he's going to die in prison. It was one dance move too many for Venezuela's president, says the New York Times. The president felt like the dancing dictator was mocking him and trying to call his bluff.
Nicolas Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't.
Crazy.
He effed around and he found out.
Maduro made the wrong move and bet on the wrong horse. Just hours before his arrest, Maduro was meeting with the Chinese, and the two nations claimed they were united. China, not a great ally. They can't even protect their own puppets. And the air defense systems they sold to Maduro didn't work. Our intelligence agencies were following his every move. A CIA team inside of Venezuela, a source inside the Venezuelan military, and American surveillance drones had Maduro's schedule down to a T. We knew what he ate, what he wore. We even knew about his pets.
We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do.
It took 10 days and 27,000 soldiers for Bush 41 to capture Noriega in Panama. And it took Donald Trump and a Delta Force team an hour to nab Maduro in Venezuela.
Whoa.
Not a single American soldier perished. The operation was precise, surgical, and swift. Even Obama's top spy couldn't spin it.
U.S. military and U.S. intelligence are second to none in terms of their capabilities, their competence, talent, as well as their courageous actions. And so it does look as though it was a flawlessly executed operation.
Operation Absolute Resolve sent a clear and convincing message to every enemy capital in the world.
They will be impressed with the military capability here. I would argue none of those three militaries could have executed an operation like this. They'll be saying to themselves, that's a very capable military. That's not a bad thought to pop up in Beijing, Moscow, and Tehran these days.
The narco tyrant was harboring Chinese and Russian spies, plus Hezbollah. They were in business with the Colombian cartels and guerrillas, pouring migrants, gangs, and drugs into our country. And they stole our oil leases and handed them to Beijing. No bueno. Smoking coke boats was just the appetizer. Maduro had been under indictment for years. He was a fugitive with a $50 million bounty on his head, and now he's ours. The long arm of the law will find you if you're a narco-terrorist, an arms trafficker, a tax cheat, or even a sex trafficker hiding on an island. This was about justice once and for all. So what's next?
Is the United States now at war with Venezuela?
There's not a war. I mean, we are at war against drug trafficking organizations. It's not a war against Venezuela. We are enforcing American laws with regards to oil sanctions. We have sanctioned entities. We go to court. We get a warrant. We seize those boats with oil, and that will continue.
This is about stopping a war, not starting one.
Yeah.
And it's not over yet. This was not regime change. The regime's still intact. This is about changing the regime's behavior. Maduro's vice president was sworn in. Ms. Rodriguez still controls the security, military, and administrative state. The man who runs Maduro's paramilitary unit, still alive. The generals, still there. CBS, apparently not impressed with the mission, wonders, why didn't we just arrest the whole regime?
I'm confused. Are they still wanted by the United States? Why didn't you arrest them if you are taking out the narco-terrorist regime?
You're confused? It is not easy to land helicopters in the middle of the largest military base in the country. The guy lived on a military base. Land within 3 minutes, kick down his door, grab him, put him in handcuffs, read him his rights, put him in a helicopter, and leave the country without losing any American or any American assets. That's not an easy mission. And you're asking me, why didn't we do that in 5 other places at the same time?
Do you hear yourself, Margaret? Capturing Maduro is just the beginning of the plan. From now on, Trump's the man of the house.
Who's in charge of Venezuela right now? Have Have you spoken to the newly sworn-in president there, Rodriguez? And what are your thoughts on the entire situation? You said the U.S. would run Venezuela.
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And don't ask me who's in charge, because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yes, we're in charge.
Toppling dictators doesn't take you to the promised land. America's learned that the hard way. Democracy down there is going to take time. Maduro lost his last election in a landslide, but he didn't leave. The military and state officials are still stacked with loyalists and thieves. The Venezuela project's day to day, and we're looking for people who we can work with or pay off. In the meantime, we have a naval blockade which controls their cash flow, and gunboats parked offshore to control their behavior.
We have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met.
Let me ask the question again. What is the legal authority for the United States to be running Venezuela?
Well, I explained to you what our goals are and how we're going to use the leverage to make it happen.
Are you running Venezuela right now?
Yeah.
George, I've explained again that the leverage that we have here is the leverage of the quarantine.
Venezuela is like the Spanish Saudi Arabia. They have more proven oil reserves than anywhere in the world. Over 300 billion barrels. That's like a quarter of the world's reserves just sitting in our backyard, being squandered by thugs and communists. The oil leases were stolen from American companies. The infrastructure was left to rot. And whatever revenue they were able to squeeze out, they lined their own pockets and bribed their patrons. Once American companies produce what's rightfully theirs, energy prices go even lower, and so does inflation. It also means the Chinese will be buying the oil from us. The Iranians, they lose a customer, and low prices starve Putin's war machine in Ukraine. The American and Venezuelan people can both make money now, and we don't have to worry about a failed narco state on our doorstep.
Why does the United States need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry?
Why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. They are not going to come from outside of our hemisphere, destabilize our region in our own backyard, and us have to pay the price for it. Not under President Trump.
Yeah.
The Trump administration's pivoting away from the Middle East, making NATO share the burden in Europe, and refocusing on the Western Hemisphere. We're not going to let our own neighborhood become blighted with drug dens and Russian puppets and Chinese speculators. This is about protecting our neighborhood, not somebody else's. Venezuela's not the only country in the neighborhood getting attention. Every leftist puppet government is now on notice. Who knows who's next? An armada in the Caribbean controlling Venezuelan oil, especially after we regain control of the Panama Canal, puts pressure on a lot of countries, including the one country producing all the coke. That would be...
Colombia is very sick, too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
So there will be an operation by the U.S.
It sounds good to me.
The price of cocaine is about to go sky high, but Gutfeld can afford it. The president of Colombia leaves office this year anyway, so the new guy better read the room. At least a half a dozen Latin American governments have elected right-wing, pro-American leaders in the last 2 years. Communist-backed leftists are on a massive losing streak, and China's Belt and Road initiatives collapsed. We're winning the Western Hemisphere. And technically, this country is in the Western Hemisphere.
We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, and the European Union needs us to have it.
Between the attacks on Iran's nuke site and the Maduro operation, American deterrence is back. The U.S. military, fresh off their Christmas bonuses, are feeling the love. Recruitment at an all-time high. DEI is dead, and the Secretary of War has their back.
You're about to do a tough job. You're
about to go do some tough basic training. It's got, we hope, a little bit tougher under this administration to prepare you, to forge you to be the warriors that our nation requires.
Yeah.
To do the kind of things that happened over downtown Caracas, Venezuela in the middle of the night, just a couple of nights ago.
America is already, well, let's just leave it at that.
Yo, I'm going to leave it right there. What America is doing, it's insane. They went in there, surgical precision, swift, and got to the mission. That's insane that they were able to do it in a minute. So the United States, we know a lot about every other country. Now what I'm thinking is that we must have CIA agent in every single government around the world, or somebody informing the CIA on what it is that the other countries are doing and how we can go in and just take them out. Insane. I personally believe the next country is going to be Cuba. We just got to help out the people there by helping the government, because it's the government holding them back, right? Like, capitalism allows the countries to succeed. And I'm only going by America. We are able to do so much, make so much money. Everybody gets rich. Everybody profits of technology and everything the country is doing. And even those who get here later in life, like arrive to America, are able to figure it out and succeed and just move forward. Except for the fraudsters. We have a bunch of fraudsters. I think Somalians are just people that came from another country and are defrauding the United States. And us taxpayers are complaining about it because it's using our tax money to just become rich. But let me know what you think. My name is Noel, here at Verbal on Live, expressing myself. Happy, what's today? Happy Tuesday. Make sure to comment down below. I'm going to try to get this video out to more people. And we got to celebrate the fact that we had our military go in there. No death, no casualties. And just capture that other guy, President Maduro, who is in jail now with 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine is going to jail today. 6ix9ine, if you don't know, is a rapper who is going to jail for 3 months and is going to be in there with all the elites. That's Diddy, Luigi, who else? Maduro, all the big guys. They get like special lockup. I'll be reporting more of that, so come join me later on today. With that said, I'm going to go have breakfast because it's already 12 o'clock. Yeah, let me go eat something. Thank you for joining me. Hit the like button. Hopefully you enjoy the show. With that said, peace.